Now, I'd like to welcome everybody to the May 20th meeting. The time is 6:02. If I get approval of the agenda at this time.
So moved.
Second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Commissioner Kitchens, would you do the honors tonight, please, sir?
Absolutely. If y'all will pray with us, please. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for all the blessings you give us. We thank you for another beautiful day here. Thank you for the way you love us and all the love that you provide for us. Just wrap your arms around anybody that needs it, whether they're just not feeling well, whether they've lost loved ones, have sickness in the family, whatever it is, you know their need. Just be there for them, Lord. And thank you for all the people that put their lives on the line for us each and every day to protect us and provide us our freedoms. We ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Kitchens. Well done, as always. All right, we'll move along to this evening, consent agenda and approval of the minutes. We got work session on May 6th, along with, we had two work sessions, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock on May 6th, along with the first Tuesday. Y'all had opportunity to review the minutes. I entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, aye? Aye. Miss Lee, you're up. Property revaluation RFP.
I still feel so short standing here. I know, right? Need to step this one. Well, I appreciate you having me. I have notes because I have a lot of information to share with you. We have a handout as well. Ms. Adams will provide. But if you recall the last time I was here, the board graciously agreed to amend our budget to allow for training money, for overtime, for new positions, and our staff has worked tirelessly since then. Our appraisal staff has been working 6 to 7 days per week, given the funding y'all provided. Mr. Crumley, who's an appraiser 3, retired, has been working part-time at the office, has been invaluable help. Ms. Mindy Petrowski has retired from the state and come over, of course, the tax commissioner's office, which was a state job, and so now she is working for us as an appraiser assistant, and I believe that the staff have her talked into going to appraiser school, so hopefully she will become an appraiser 1 with our office, and we can backfill that appraiser assistant position. And they have enrolled in numerous training programs. As y'all know, they're kind of cyclical, and so they are signed up for various classes and on waiting lists for others. So the money you provided went to good use, and we greatly appreciate it. Over the past 90 days, as you're aware, we've continued to work towards the issues that were identified in that performance evaluation and performance review that this board requested from the Department of Revenue. Our staff have conducted extensive analysis of market trends, land values, construction cost. They've looked at neighborhoods. We've made schedule and table changes. We've worked with other departments. I believe last time, Mr. Wood, you and I were talking about the fact that they were missing some of the new construction.
Correct.
And so we now have access to planning and zoning's computer system. So the staff now get all the permits in real time, and they actually can check to see the percentage of completion because of the, they can tell electrical's been approved and that kind of thing. And so we've continued to work with Mr. Jackson. Numerous corrections have been made. I think the board was aware that there were overrides and improper grade changes that had been made. The staff found entire neighborhoods that grades had just been reduced without real reason or justification, and made those reversals. And so there's been just an incredible amount of work that they have performed. The handout that you received is the result, and let me kind of explain it. the best I can. So this time last year, April of last month, I should say, when they started, they were at 27 was the sales ratio. Part of that was because 8 years of depreciation had been applied all at once. And so the board had increased the square footage to $95. They continued to study and work 7 days a week for 2 additional weeks, and so the board increased the price per square foot to $110. That has brought up the ratio now to 38.8, which we were thrilled with 36, which meant, we were in compliance. But of course, the 38% means that there should be no lost revenue from utilities. And as you also see, that depreciation had a drastic effect on the total digest. The numbers here, the depreciation alone and removing the overrides dropped the digest by 31 million. By making those corrections and changes and table adjustments, we saw the increase of approximately 185 million. So it got it back to where it needs to be. And of course, the board is meeting tomorrow to approve the assessment notices. We are planning and understand we will have to educate the public. We're talking about different ways of doing that so that everyone understands that an increase to their value does not necessarily equate to an increase in taxes, because of course y'all historically have adjusted the millage rate. So we are now here looking at the countywide reevaluation, and I know this board voted previously to support it when it was brought to you by Mr. George. And when I was here last, we had opened it up for bids. My question was, if the numbers are this good, do we need a countywide reevaluation at this point? And we do, and there's a few reasons why. First and foremost, because the state recommended it. It was in the finding, and we have relied on their expertise, and we rely on it in this matter. But I believe that was on page 138 of the performance review. Second of all, we are under, as you know, a Georgia Department of Revenue order that was conditionally approving the 2023 digest, and part of that order is that based on the contingent approval of it, that we take all action necessarily to correct deficiencies specified in our findings. And so we do feel we need to do it for that reason. The other reason is the COD is still slightly off, which means we're still not quite uniform. I think the easiest way to explain it, as it was explained to me where I would understand it, is that before there were a lot of peaks and valleys, and that created significant uniformity issues. The staff have gone in and smoothed some of that out, and so the numbers are better, but the COD is still not where it needs to be, and that suggests that there's still fine-tuning that's needed. And we also have manpower issues. Our staff, like I said, have been working nonstop. There's simply no way they can perform their job duties and continue to work on this. Quite frankly, they're behind in their 2025 work that they're now going to have to play catch-up on. They've not been able to do much of the 2025 construction and get that performed. As you know, the last countywide reevaluation was in 2007. The last time a 3-year cycle, which of course is required by the state, was in 2016. And of course, there's other recommendations that the state made that need to be addressed. And so there's still lots of other work to be done to get the office in shape besides just continue to work on these values. Finally, of course, are the consequences if there's not a reevaluation in the corrections, and y'all know what those are, of course. Fines, state taking over, loss of the revenue from utilities, everything from the state coming and taking a seat at our office and taking over. So for that reason, we do believe that the reevaluation is still needed. We had opened up bids March 17th for the reevaluation. It stayed open until May the 1st. And I have to tell you that Miss Julie Happold has been invaluable to us in walking us through this process. So the county's very lucky to have her, and she has helped us. We could not have done this without her, and of course, Jason. This was an advertised bid. It went out to 707 sites, and out of that, we received one bid. We believe we know, and can only guess as to why we only received one bid, but there's a state demand right now for these reevaluations. The one company that did bid, they're performing 18 presently. Of course, we may have a reputation, so we hear in some of the state training, and so I know that they are looking at this saying there's major adjustments to be made. This is not a routine reevaluation. There's also the fact we're in a rural area, but more importantly, time was of the essence, and we made that clear in our request for bids that time was of the essence. So Technical Appraisal Services of Georgia, which is out of Macon, has submitted a bid to complete the reevaluation by June 1st of next year. I have spoken to Brian Jackson, who confirmed that would not put anyone at any significant disadvantage, because that is past the time that the assessment notices normally go out. But the company meets all the criteria. We've checked references. All of the counties that they have performed work for or are performing work for are very satisfied. In fact, some of the counties have continued to retain them after they did full reevaluations, and they're using them now every year to just perform some evaluations on that 3-year cycle or other work as needed. That in particular was promising to me because we're seeing some of the challenges in hiring staff, challenges in recruiting a chief appraiser, and just the sheer volume of work that's needed to be done. So it's reassuring to know there's a local company that can perform the reevaluation. The staff can work on all the other necessary items they need to work on and continue to get training, and there's the potential to use this company in the future if needed. In fact, we can discuss that with them later and see it may even be cheaper for them to do the reviews every 3 years, rotating would be every year. The bid is for $687,009. That price is based on price per parcel. That would be, of course, needed for a budget amendment to approve it for legal purposes. I understand it's billed by the month, so this would be billed for the next year. There is nothing to compare it to, unfortunately, being that there is just one bid. There was a quote provided to Mr. George from GMAS previously. It's apples and oranges to a certain degree. This was for a full walk-around, but it was a 2-year turnaround instead of a 1-year turnaround, and that quote was for $797,000. So that does give us a little bit of an idea of the price difference. So the board has approved it. We made a motion and approved the awarding of the contract to Technical Appraisal Services contingent upon your agreement to fund it. And if funding was provided, it would be awarded. And so we are now asking the Board of Commissioners for a budget amendment for the $787,009 to fund the countywide reevaluation.
Any questions?
Everybody's quiet.
I'm assuming this would come out of contingency or comes out of,
I think we probably have to pull from fund balance. You know, we'd certainly use any contingency that we have available that's allocated in this year's budget, but it's probably going to have to be something where we dip into the reserves or fund balance to fund it.
So, and I know that's a big number, but if you look at, I just looked at the difference between 27% and 40%, which we're collecting from our utilities now, that we hadn't collected for, this is the third year in a row. If you compare that number to what we have not collected from utilities, not from taxpayers' rooftops that we try our best to protect, we would be saving money already.
Right.
Had we done that. So while that is a big number, not doing it now, we'll spend half of that this year in utility.
Right.
Or would have spent half of that in utility costs.
We've lost
Yeah.
Right.
way more than that.
Yeah,
That's
we've
what-
lost twice that.
You hit.
Probably.
Not to interrupt, but I'm looking at the state findings. In 2023, public utility revenue loss was estimated at $321,000.
Yeah, a little bit less than half. So,
Yes, sir.
doesn't take long, and thankfully, we have not been fined by the state yet, but it is, if we don't correct our actions, we are going to be in those crosshairs.
Right, and that was that January the 30th letter that contained the order from the Department of Revenue that puts us on notice for that we have to make those corrections by 2026.
Right. This is what the people want, motion to approve.
Second.
Second. Any more discussion? None? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Ayes have it. And I just want to say, thank y'all.
Thank
Great
you.
leadership and what y'all done in just a short period of time. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And
Thank
what
you.
time is, I was going to say, what time is y'all's meeting tomorrow?
We're meeting at 1 o'clock
Okay.
tomorrow to approve the notices.
All right, thank you.
Thank y'all so much.
That's not something you need me at. During
No,
visitors, during the
it's-
visitor,
is it-
during the
it-
public comment.
I'm gonna put you down as a visitor, come forward. I'll make an exception, yes. I know a lot of people don't understand it. Just introduce yourself and where you live.
I'm Pearl Solomon, been in Jones County 55 years, live on Ruby Drive.
Yes, ma'am.
My question is on the back end of this process. Many people in our county are just like me. They are older. And I certainly hope at the end where you have reevaluated the properties and that, and some of us will end up paying higher taxes, that you will notify the folks well in advance, because many are seniors and they don't have a lot of extra income. So, and they don't need to be having to pay penalties because they just don't have it. And then young folks, some of them have escrow accounts. They need to be able to set aside money so that if there is an increase in their taxes, they will have the money. There are honest people in this county. They want to do the right thing, but I want the county to do the right thing in helping them with making the right decisions. Okay, thank you. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Chairman, if you don't mind, before she leaves, I wanted to say something that she can hopefully take back to her board and to the staff. And I'll try to be brief, but I really want us to recognize what a monumental accomplishment this is. We're only talking a couple of months where we've got a full board, we've got a full crew over there. We went from losing a lot of history, experience, talent, and all that to a new group with a monumental task that you've heard it, and probably everybody else everywhere we go at these conferences. Man, y'all are in bad shape. Y'all are in bad shape. This is tough. This is going to be hard for y'all to overcome. It's going to cost you money. It's going to cost you time. It's going to be a pain. All that. And we've had people in that office every day, hours and hours, working to get this and to come from, from 27 to 38.8 in 2 months. I never would have believed it, especially with not having a full staff like we're talking about. And I know we approved some funding for them to get some help, but I don't want it to go unnoticed how huge of an accomplishment and the yeoman's work that whole department has done. And from everything we've heard, they're working hard, they're working together, and they're working in the right direction. And that's, they all need to have kudos for that. So thank
Absolutely.
y'all.
That's where my thank you very much, because the leadership they've shown in a short period of time, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Keep Jones, beautiful update. Miss Mallory?
Good evening. My name is Mallory Lunsford, and I'm honored to introduce myself as the new facilitator of Keep Jones Beautiful. I'm excited to be part of such a amazing organization, which I've just learned taking this position. I knew about it, but I didn't know so much in depth and how much it affects the community. One of my first priorities was to ensure that all the requirements were up to date for the affiliate, paying the dues, making sure everything was in line. From there, I started with the Community Pride Cleanup event. We had over 50 volunteers come together to clean Jones County. Our volunteers brought 141 bags of litter and 846 tires. It was a strong start, and I'm grateful for the community's participation. I even had a couple of you there participating, and y'all did amazing. We hosted our Farm Day on Earth Day at the local pre-K and collaborated with the Jones County 4-H and Keep Jones Beautiful. They had a few farm animals. We had a miniature horse, a cow, and some chickens, and the kids' faces were so cute seeing them. Some of our committee members were educating the kids on recyclable and non-recyclable items. We had the garden club join us to help them plant so they could take something home. I'm so sorry. It's nerve-wracking up here.
Yeah, you're good. You're doing great.
After that, I have had 3 monthly committee meetings, which we have discussed everything that we have done and what we are doing for the future. We donated $150 to Haddock Baptist Church for flowers to support the Haddock Beautification Project. We also toured the local recycling center to gain a better understanding of the operations and opportunities. At the last committee meeting, the committee recommended to offer a grant through Keep Jones Beautiful for nonprofits in Jones County to support beautification projects for $250 per entity. Our max per year is $1,000, and we are currently working on an application through Growth Zone. Looking ahead, we are planning our fall cleanup in October. We have had 2 potential dates in mind, October 4th and 18th. And since Main Street of Gray is having their fall festival on the 4th, we're leaning more towards the 18th. But if whatever works best for y'all, please let me know. We won't be having the tire recycling this fall. We will be looking to get a shredder to change up it. So I'm grateful for your continued support, and just wanted to come down and introduce myself. So it's been fun, and it's a lot of learning, and I'm very much enjoying it.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
I guess, Shannon, look on our calendars and see if we got anything that would be in town and all that, but 18th, and it's not a big Saturday game, you know. The dogs are not playing, are they?
Deer season.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, is go there ahead, go be bulldog in the deer game stand. there?
Yeah, we
He'll
did
be
not,
okay.
we didn't look
It's
into
not
that.
opening day of deer season, is it?
No, it's not. We did take that into account.
And George is not playing at home? George is not playing at home that
I did not look into that.
Oh,
I'm so
that-
sorry.
Okay.
That was the second.
That's
one.
I
required.
know, that should have been on my list to look at.
Hold on,
And I'm
okay.
looking to see when we are on spring break, I mean, fall
We
break.
are on the 6th. So the following, yes, the 6th through the,
So the 10th would
Yes,
not have
ma'am.
been a good day for
No,
that
ma'am.
either. Okay.
So we won't have tire.
we won't have the tire recycling. No, sir, we're going to
So
try to
you
get the
won't be the
shredder.
king of the
Miss
tires.
at Georgia.
I didn't pick up but 4 roads. And I got
You
that
won't be
much on
king
4
of the
more roads.
tires.
I'm just saying.
All right, king of the tires.
October 18th is Ole Miss at Georgia. That's a
Oh.
bad date.
Oh, that's gonna be tailgate
What time's the
time.
game?
It's to be announced.
Oh.
You know, they only announce it like the week ahead.
A big game like that's gonna be late.
What
The last
what was
meeting
the
we-
other date you were looking at?
The
The
10th.
8th. Well, I mean,
The 11th? They're at Auburn on the 11th. It's an open date on
It's just the
September
4th or the
20th and
I
October
want to say there's
25th.
another event, the
Man, we
20th.
had to run.
September 20th and October 25th is open. October 11th is at Auburn, but it's not a home game. I mean, do what you want, but I'm just, I'm just telling you.
No, I understand,
You're doing good,
and I
great.
can look into it and get you
Drop
some
our
more
stuff
dates.
off at 11:15.
I can look into it and get some more
We
dates.
appreciate you very much.
Thank
You did a
you.
Yeah,
good
thank
job.
you for the update. Very good.
Good job. All
She
right.
thinks it's nerve-wracking over there. Try sitting over here.
Yeah, I'll swap seats for you for a meeting. That'd be great. Tri-County EMC grant, smoke detectors and weather radios. Miss Karen, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How about y'all?
Yeah.
Good. Enjoying this pretty weather, I know that. And it not raining.
Oh, it's coming.
Is it coming
Yeah.
tonight, I hope?
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
I just hope it waits until after graduation and
Oh,
everybody
it is
gets home.
supposed to be until like, in the AMs.
Yeah, early AMs in the morning, yeah. I am wanting to, I have got it filled out and ready to apply for the Tri-County grant to purchase some weather radios and smoke alarms with CO in them to give out free to people. And with this grant, I can do 250 radios. They will come straight from Midland. And 150 combination smoke CO alarms. And the radios will already be programmed. We will get them programmed and ready to give out. And hopefully, we're going to target people to give these out free to ones that are away from the weather sirens, that don't have the notifications that they need, have some extra notification when we do have bad storms. So I just hope I can get y'all's approval to go ahead and do this.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second, any more discussion? Sounds like a winner. All in favor, aye?
I was gonna say on the smoke detectors, it'd be good, how are you gonna target, individuals, neighborhoods, things such as that? People maybe that have them, that 10 years they go out of date, you know,
Yeah, and we'll do, the fire department will install them, and we'll keep up with who we give
Right.
them. And we always, in the past, have leaned more to the elderly and the handicapped that can't
can't climb a ladder.
climb a
can't-
ladder and do
can't it?
for themselves.
Sounds good. I
With
know,
those.
might be a good idea to have power drill on some of the engines when they go out and they have a XYZ call at the residence, oh, ma'am, you don't have a smoke detector, let me put you up one in a safe spot in the
Right.
home, depending on the size.
And while we're out there, they also do go over fire safety and,
That's
you
good,
know, getting out.
public service and public safety.
Right,
Right. All right, thank you.
that's the main thing.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry about that, Commissioner Wood.
No,
I
you're
was
you're
looking
good. I
right
was just
and-
going to add that in on discussion, but it was, full approval for it.
That's great. Hey, great. Mr. Stark, not you can, we're tabling that, aren't we?
Yes, sir.
I need a motion to table number 4.
So move.
Second.
Second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Water Department position, now we got.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
Here today to request approval for 4 new positions within the Water Department. 2 crew leader roles, 1 operations supervisor, and an office supervisor. These are strategic leadership roles that I feel like are needed within our department for our growing demands and further support and supervision out in the field. First, the 2 crew leader positions will work directly under our maintenance supervisor. Right now, when our maintenance supervisor is unavailable, there is no leadership structure in the field. These new lead roles will ensure crews remain productive, coordinated, and well-directed at all times, given accountability in the daily operations when our maintenance supervisor is not on site. Second, the operations supervisor role will formalize responsibility that she's kind of been in place of for a few years now, maintaining all the water plants, water towers, pretty much the day-to-day operations of the water system. Again, she's kind of been in that role and this position's never been available. And lastly, an office supervisor will take on the leadership of customer service and administrative operations on our end. This role is essential for managing internal paperwork, improving communications between our guys out in the field and the office teams, and supporting all supervisors across the departments. These additions will just put supervision in the right place, is what we're kind of hoping for, and that's all I got.
Chairman,
Any questions?
So we already put these through with Dr. Long, who handles our salary stuff, and he came back with new job descriptions and put them on the pay scale for us.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second, any more discussion?
One question, Chairman. Would the office supervisor continue to do finance side of things to communicate with?
Yes, yes.
I'm good.
All right, and like I said, I want to just see where this department's gone over the years. You've done a great job and sharing your vision, and I understand you've got a lot of people cross-trained, so you've got backup, so.
Yes, sir.
That being said, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Also, Brandon, Stevie Johnson, tell her congratulations on her latest
Yes.
accomplishments also. I've got a card on my desk, I just still haven't put it in the mail to her, sorry.
Thank you all.
Hearing that, it's Christmas.
June 20th, Commissioner Martin.
You know, Chairman, we often tell employees that we love and we care for them. And, you know, I think the best way to show that is, you know, when there are opportunities for us to reward them, we do that. Juneteenth falls on the 19th, which is Thursday. And then that Friday, you'd have them come back into work. So all I'm asking is that we give them the long weekend. So on the 20th, we'd be closed. So on Wednesday, when they go home, they can go home.
Chairman, we've done it on, when Christmas falls on an off day like that, and New Year's, you know, when it falls on a Thursday, or if it falls on a Tuesday, you know, because honestly, how many people you gonna have, you know, work Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and then come back Friday? And, you know, a lot of times you have departments that work 4/10s, that really throws a kink in everything. I'd support that.
I get a motion?
Motion.
Motion, second?
Second.
Second, I like it. Like I said, to show our appreciation to these employees, because they get out there and they're getting it done. With that being said, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Have it, all right. Old business, State Place Cemetery. Confirmed what we had talked about last time, the graves that are across the line is gonna have to be moved. I need y'all's blessing to put up for bid to have those moved. That's the main, only option we have to move them. I think and once they get moved, they need to, we need to go ahead and put a fence through there, so it won't happen again. And one other thing, I think, there's a road that used to enter in the cemetery off of Overland Way that needs to be reestablished, so that they can enter the cemetery directly off of Overland Way. And that way, the fence that we're gonna put in is gonna be protecting some test wells that we have to maintain from this point forward. So it'll allow them to come directly into the cemetery. It won't be coming in through the current road that's there. You see that? You see where the road used to be there? It's actually marked on the map. It's just a matter of putting an entrance in.
When you structure your bid to try to sell the cemetery, could you include in that the buyer would need to put in the fence?
I'm just trying to keep it from happening again, because 2011, it was known that we couldn't do it, and here we are moving a lot of cemeteries, a lot of graves that were put in there since then, so.
Spend a lot of money out there.
Yep, and it's a
For
lot of
something
money,
y'all
but
wanna
it's
get
for us to continue on what we're doing with the landfill, we have to move those. And the only way I know to protect that property line is to put a fence through there, which will also protect the test well and its own entrance. That's a Public Works, day project of reestablishing the entrance that was there when they built the road.
So the Environmental Protection Agency or Georgia EPD said, no, we can't move the line,
It was
or
advised for us to move. That's what, that was what I was,
who advised you?
I won't have to go to Tiffany on that, but it was right because we can't, that would make sense would be to go around and redo the line, but that's basically starting back over with our landfill and getting everything reassessed.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be, because we ran into this one before, you just came out of maintenance, and to do anything outside, inside of that, line would mean that you would have to go back through the EPA and put us back in a maintenance program, which means that we would have to pay for testing. And I don't know how long they would say that, but I would imagine moving the graves is probably gonna be cheaper and a lot quicker. But I will, Ashley made a good point, and it's not about the money, I'll be real clear on that. My worry is even putting it out to bid to move the graves. People moving the graves are not gonna do the public relations side of it. And to me, that's just as important, because we don't know, we may know who some of them are, or where some of them are, but do we have all the connections of, is this person buried close to this person for a reason historically?
Right.
And does this person want to be moved here, or can they be moved here, or do they have to be moved over here somewhere, and now you have families that are separated? I think all that has to be taken into it.
Absolutely.
And if just hypothetically, if a church group comes together and says, we want to do this, they may have another or a better plan of where to move these families in a different way than what we would think as just owners of the property. So
Right.
it wouldn't be bad to look at that from a holistic point of view, rather than two separate entities, moving public relations and then requirements of the EPD or EPA, if that makes any sense. So it may be better for us to protect the area to keep from putting any more in there, and then just and know that we've got to move them, and that be part of our plan. And if we put it out for bid, that's part of the plan. Now, and if we're saying it's not a money issue, whether the money is part of moving when we do the deal, but I'm more worried about us making a decision on something that's, we gotta move the graves. It's not just about the graves.
Sure.
It's about the families, the history, and
Sure.
and the everything that goes in with that.
So where are we looking at putting the fence for the wells?
The property line. You see where the jut out is on the line right now? For the
Oh, I know about that. I'm talking about the wells. So are we saying move this in like that? And that's still gonna be part of the cemetery?
Wherever the property line is there now.
There's the property line right now.
That's where your fence will go. That way they don't come,
Well, the wells are here, on this side of the property.
well,
There's the wells.
we have to protect them well, so,
So then this will all still be the cemetery.
right, but
So
we're gonna
then
have to
you're
go, we're
need
gonna have to
get
go
it
around those wells.
surveyed
So you're
Before
gonna-
y'all can
Right.
send that out for bid or proposals, you're gonna have to resurvey that to include this
That's not a
section.
grave here, is there?
No, but you've got to include this section. You can't have that as the property line if our wells are on the other side of it. So you're
Right.
gonna have to have this surveyed back out
Right.
to move this property line to put your fence and have our wells on our property. And that's gonna have
We
to be
won't
done
change,
before you.
well, that's
put it
gonna be
out.
an additional, that'll be an additional plot, because we
well,
cannot change that one line.
Well, what I'm saying is there's plenty of room here to put, if we're putting the fence line in here,
Yes,
there would still be plenty of room for us to put these graves in here.
or right in front, there's a whole area in front of it that's already.
Right.
So I'm gonna suggest this, if we, much like we have public comments on things that we have to have public comments on, identification of those graves, and he did some of that, and I don't know where that is. So once we know what graves are where,
Sure.
leave that public comment period open 30, 45 days, so people can identify their loved ones, and even offer them the opportunity to make a suggestion.
Sure, absolutely.
And to add to that, Commissioner, I would suggest that we got to know what our limitations are. So I would suggest that we get Tiffany with the EPA guidelines, maybe not the EPA, because honestly, we probably want to get them as little involved as possible, but what their guidelines are, and maybe the surveyor, and maybe even Strozier, or at least his digital map to know where everything is. So we know where the lines have to be, where the wells have to be protected, and then that gives us the area that we know we can move graves. And then it becomes what graves need to be moved where and how they need to be set up and all that, because that's a whole different, the physical movement of the graves is one thing, but where they should be put and how they should be placed and who wants them placed where is a whole different.
Right. And that's going to have to be handled with care, because
And that's where the input definitely has to come,
Absolutely.
because if as a government, I'm looking at this, if my family members were buried there, and you jacklegs decided where to move them without my input, we'd have a problem. And I have a problem making that decision without
Sure.
at least figuring out who those people are and who their loved ones, where their loved ones have a say in it.
And I talked to a lady last week that said that her granddaddy was right there. She said, I've got two children buried there, and I mean, she went through the whole, now, I don't know if she's in that area, because I don't remember.
Right.
It's, we gotta maintain that property line as it was surveyed for the landfill. As far as the fence goes, we can establish another plot owned by the county to encompass those two wells, and that's where your fence will trace it out. So we won't have graves coming in onto the well area. And then the remainder would be from the cemetery.
How
We
much
just need to
buffer?
know where our limitations are for surveying, for EPA, and then for
Right.
grave
And then
sites.
before anything happens with request for proposal or bids, this section is gonna, you're gonna have to survey it off and identify this as a new, because this has got to stay with us.
Right.
I mean, you can't just use the property lines as is in that bid proposal.
What's
That'd be a new plot, though, just somebody,
Right.
you'll make that a plot, a standalone plot.
Right.
The straight line that runs, and I looked at this morning with Tiffany, the straight line that runs all the way through from back behind Public Works to Overland Way, that, we have to maintain that line, because that's the actual footprint
Right.
of the landfill.
What's the buffer zone between the fence and the graves?
Whatever you want it to be, 10 foot,
Okay.
you know, you do, if you do building setback, it's 10 foot. So, I mean, you could put 10 foot off that fence if you wanted to and start at the grave.
I think the buffer off the landfill is gonna be the bigger issue than the buffer off the
Right.
grave.
Yeah.
You know,
But you know, that section has been trees, and you can't plant trees on that landfill, and it's been, that section has been trees for as long as I can remember. When I was a
Right.
little boy, that section was
Right.
trees around that. So there's no trash sale under that area, and I wish there was a way to have a conversation with EPD to let these people rest. And I have a little heartburn moving people, but I understand if state law and federal law is what it is, but there needs to be a conversation to say, look, for the past 200 years, as long as this county's been here, it's been trees here, and this is,
Right. But that-
adjust the buffer is what I'm looking at.
For,
But
for the record, that conversation was advised, it would be better for us to, because if we had to go the other route, there won't be anything take place there on that
Well, that's-
cemetery for years until we get it.
Right, I understand, and that's where I think the state doesn't have empathy or compassion for, cemeteries when it comes to things like
Try to
this.
get some,
They don't plan on having,
representatives
they don't
involved.
have plan on having grave sites brought into,
Right.
so that's the advisement we got, that we really needed to move that and keep the landfill on its own
You
footprint.
have far more movement if you got a representative involved than just
And
Tiffany
maybe
calling.
Floyd Griffin
Right.
is the person to be talked to, because the fact that he's been in the funeral home business, that
Right.
may be
There-
somebody that can get
If
the
it,
wheels.
like I say, if
Just
it's
call
been
them if
trees
we
for the
need 'em.
past 150 years and the landfill was used 50 years, you may have some special circumstances to let these people stay if possible. And I don't feel like we've exercised all of our options to see if we can leave them be.
She's already
So-
made contact, and the advisement was for us to move them.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, well,
it's
let's, for the sake of time, let's,
Postpone.
can we postpone this one and do some more research with whether it's the
Absolutely.
state representatives and the lines and surveyors and Tiffany?
Sure.
All right, motion to postpone State Place Cemetery.
Second.
Second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Department heads. Ms. Kayward, you want to start off?
Yeah, I guess so. I think it's got to be a good thing. I would just like to kind of inform y'all right now. June 12th is going to be we are hosting the Area 4 GEMA meeting. And we're going to be having it at Station 3 this time. The guy that's going to be doing the speaking is going to be talking on GEMA's role in elections. So if y'all would like to come, I would like to invite all of y'all. It will be at 10 o'clock in the morning,
On Friday, the 12th.
Thursday, the 12th, June 12th,
June 12th, 10 a.m.
10 o'clock in the morning, And that's all I've got.
All right. How's Public Works doing? You're hiding in the back.
Good evening, good evening. How y'all doing?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, day-to-day operations has been going real good. And that's a testament to the employees there. Everybody's doing a good job. Seem to be making good headway on some things. Got some new employees coming. Going to train those up. Training starts, 28th, I think. The thing y'all approved, the excavator training. So that'll start up 28th. We got 4 people going to that.
Great.
But other than that, everything's going good.
We appreciate you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
How's the water? We got anything else for the water tonight?
Comments, updates for y'all? Phase 2 of our Graham Road construction, I would guess is probably 80 to 85% complete at this time. The contractor's going through running water service lines, so we're gonna start installing meters later on this week, beginning of next week, the areas that we can get water to currently. Expecting that to be finished hopefully by the end of July. Hopefully that whole project will be wrapped up on that one. Spoke to the Phoenix Fabricators, the contractor that's doing the water tower on Overland Way yesterday. He said they should be on site tomorrow or Thursday, so hopefully by the end of the week. So over the next few months, that water tower will be going up, so y'all keep y'all's eyes open for that. And I kind of want to echo what Mr. Jerry was saying just a moment ago with his employees getting trained. 3.5 years ago, when I came to the water department, we had 1 employee that had 1 license. Today, we have 5 that hold 14 different licenses and 3 others that hold other various certifications. And that's to y'all's policies that y'all set forth. And I think I speak for the entire, every employee of Jones County. Thank y'all for that. Shannon's a huge part of it. And again, I think that's every department head, every employee here. Thank y'all for setting these policies in place for us.
Thank you.
Mr. Resnick, anything?
I think I'm good.
No, sir.
Citizen comments tonight. Anybody like to come forward? Come.
I know y'all tabled this, my name is Eda Pitts, about the cemetery, but my understanding, I know you said you're gonna move those graves. You can't just disinter a grave, like he said, without proper notification. And this paperwork got to go through, cause Cedar Ridge is going through all that Freeman Road right
I
now.
realize that.
And you got to, there's a lot of paperwork to
Yeah.
go through. You can't just go out there and just disinter those
Yeah.
graves.
I talked with
We
a
know
young
that.
lady last week, I think me and you talked about it, she got talking about her granddaddy was buried there, and then her, and then she got 2 children buried
There's
there.
also,
I don't know if that's in that area.
on that back line, I know for a fact it's a cremation back there. It may not be marked, and it's Tracy Thomas.
Right.
Because I was down there when they put him in there, and I don't think it's a marker back there, but he's on that back line.
Sure.
behind those graves.
Yeah, there's
So-
like two short short.
Then he don't have nothing, it's back where he's talking about those trees are, on that line with them trees, it's a cremation back there, and I don't think it's a marker back there. No, I know the baby graves, I know those.
Right. Anyone else?
Thank you.
We sure appreciate you coming every meeting. You always have a smiling face.
You know what, and I'm enjoying it.
That's good.
And sometimes in your old age, you enjoy different things, and this is one of the things I'm enjoying. My question to you, as a resident of this county, is that I have a question. Do we have an ordinance on putting pools in your yard in the county? We just had a recent residence that put a pool in the front yard. It is not fenced in. And it is not an in-ground pool. It's one of those that's about 3 feet up off the ground. But it's big enough for that family's children to enjoy the pool. I have 2 great-grandchildren, and other people have, most of us have grandchildren or great-grands on that street. And I just want to make sure that nothing happens to anybody's children, because in most instances, pools have to be in a fenced-in area, and this one is not. So do I have an answer? Do we need to look into it?
Planning and zoning.
I'll check with Tim Petrowski, and let me get your information before you leave, and we'll get you an answer to that.
Okay, thank you. And then the other question I have, our neighborhood is changing. I invite y'all to ride down Ruby Drive. Ruby Drive was, many years ago, was the place to live in that section of Jones County, but it's not anymore. It's going down rapidly, and I don't want this to happen to any other streets or roads in Jones County. And one of the other things that is happening, a person has put a fence in the front yard around the porch to house animals. And in most neighborhoods, you don't have that. And I'm just wondering, is there anything in writing on housing dogs in your front yard in a pen? They do have a small fenced-in area. So I come because I want to protect that neighborhood. Many of the people in my neighborhood are older now, and they complain among themselves, but they don't know what to do. And so that's why I'm up here, because I want to protect the neighborhood as much as I possibly can. It could be restored to a good neighborhood, but we got to be at a point where we don't allow certain things to happen. And the pool particularly, I just wouldn't want anybody's child to, sneak out of the house at night and get in that pool. Because all you have to do is just walk in the yard and climb up the little ladder and get in it and drown. I just don't want that to happen. Okay? So if you'll look into that. And then the third thing, I want to know, we talked about the sewage issue on Ruby Drive when I was here before. And I've gotten a great portion of my problem resolved. My insurance paid nothing because when I had the issue before, I did everything the county said do. I did everything the entities that I used to resolve the problem said do. Well, 10 years later, I had the problem again. And I'm not faulting them, but my insurance refused to pay any of it. I've spent over $20,000 now. My furniture is still piled up because I didn't have the money to do the inside. I took care of what it needed to be done on the outside so we could live in the house. So I want to know whether anything has happened in that area. And I want you to make sure that in the new developments in Jones County, that this situation does not happen. I don't want this to happen to anybody in Jones County. Our problem was and is the houses are too close together. There's no space for drainage. And so I want to make sure that we enforce whatever is on the books in reference to putting space between the house, the size of the lot, according to the size of the house, and whatever is needed to protect other people that are building in Jones County. So if you will all keep that in mind, and it's late for me, but I don't plan to live about 25 more years. I'm 79 now, so, you know, I want to outlive my grandmother. But for the younger people, I want help for them.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Deborah Daniel Purnell. I guess I'm gonna beat that horse about the grave cemeteries. Thank you, Shannon, for getting these laws back to me. And this is from the Constitution of the State of Georgia. And I know Mr. Woods was, not Mr. Woods, excuse me, Mr. Kitchens was talking about gratuity. And I'll read what this says. I know you already know what it is. It says, except as otherwise provided in the Constitution, the General Assembly shall not have the power to grant any donation or gratuity or to forgive any debt or obligation owing to the public. And then I was asking myself, who is the General Assembly? And then I went a little further back in the same copy that you gave me. And the General Assembly consists of the Senate and the House of Representatives. So that does not include you all. You all are not the General Assembly.
No, state entities are also included.
Not in this here.
Yeah, but, well,
Not this copy.
But there was, sorry, I didn't mean.
no, jump in.
There was a court case that made that provision applicable to cities and counties.
Yes.
Well, it's not in this copy that she gave me.
It's a
That-
court case.
Right.
It's a court case?
Yes, it's a court case that states that
I-
state entities, and we're a state entity,
Well, I did not
must
have.
also abide by the exact same provisions in the gratuities clause.
Okay, well, I did not have privy to the information.
I
So,
mean, I can't provide her with legal.
so this is the only thing that I can go by. I did not have
Well,
privy to the information.
that's right, but I can't start doing research for private citizens and providing you all with all the court cases that are applicable. But I will tell you that there's clear case law that deems the county as a state entity. And we are just as bound to the gratuities clause as the state of Georgia.
Okay, well, I would research that a little bit further, but I did not have that. I was not privy to that information. It said the Senate and the House of Representatives. And so you're saying you had a,
State entities, it's very
you had a
clear.
court case? Is that what you're saying?
It's case law that deems the counties and state entities are also required and bound to abide by the gratuities clause.
And that was
And that,
since-
it makes perfect sense. I mean, counties can't use public funds, taxpayer dollars, on, to the benefit of a private party or private entity.
Okay, so that's been since 2019?
I don't know, I can't tell you the date of the case law, but it's clear case law on it.
Okay, you can state that it's a case law, but you can't say if
So a
it's since.
statute and case law are two totally different
Right,
things.
exactly,
Yeah.
but since 2019, that's what I'm
The
asking.
case law interprets
I
the
understand,
statute.
I understand exactly what you're saying.
Yes.
The only thing I asked you was since this was revised in 2019, so you're saying that since 2019?
I'm saying the case law is very clear
You-
as it interprets that.
You're not answering my question, though.
I'm not giving you a date. I don't remember the date that every case law has ever gone into effect. But what I'm saying is there's clear case law that deems the gratuities clause to apply to state entities and the county's clearly
I
a
understand
state
exactly
entity.
what you're saying, but you still didn't answer my
Right,
question.
well, I'm not quoting something that I don't know. I can't tell you if it's 2020, 2021. I'm not going to give you just off the cuff.
I understand exactly what you're saying, but that still does not answer my question, though. So I'm
You
still,
can certainly speak to an attorney on that if you'd like to, but there's case law that's very clear.
okay. Okay, so I'm still not getting exactly what I want here. So I just have to.
Can I read this from a quick Google
Yeah,
search?
if you got
All right,
one
this
up.
is just a quick Google search. And this is an,
I was gonna say, I mean, I can do it, but I'm not gonna quote it
Yeah.
tonight without having the case law.
so this is unofficial,
Unofficial.
but you can search this too on your computer. So this is from an opinion of the Georgia Attorney General from 2001. It says the gratuities clause of the Georgia Constitution provides that the General Assembly shall not have the power to grant any donation or gratuity. While this clause specifically addresses gratuities conferred by the General Assembly, it also applies to cities and counties. And it cites a case, Grand Lodge of Georgia, IOOF, the City of Thomasville, which was a 1970 case, where the Georgia Supreme Court said that that was applicable to cities and counties. So if you want to look up that case.
So that would be the case that you would Google.
I don't want to look that up. You said 2001, and this says 2019.
No, that's just an advisory opinion from the
Right,
Attorney General's office that's clarifying what that means.
right, okay.
So what this is saying is, it's been established law in the state since 1970 that the gratuities law, clause of the state constitution applies to cities and counties. Now, there may have been an amendment to the Constitution in 2019 dealing with something completely different. That may be what the 2019 is in that document. But this has been established law in Georgia for a long time.
Okay, I'll look it up. I'll do some more research then and see exactly what you're talking about. Exactly. See exactly. Okay, that's all that I had. Well, I did. I don't know if this applies or not, but this is in reference to burials. It's in Georgia, if you have the means to pay for your loved one's burial, you are generally obligated to do so. While there's no specific law mandating this, the legal principle of responsibility to provide for dependents extends to federal expenses, particularly if the deceased estate isn't sufficient to cover them. So they're just still saying that the principal responsibility provided for the dependents still depends on it's not mandated that they pay for the burial. But I'll continue to do my research and look some more.
Any other comments?
Anything else?
But I'll look
Anyone
some
else?
more.
Anyone else tonight? Commissioner Martin, you want to start us off on Commissioner comment?
No comment.
No comment.
Congratulations to the class of 2025 that are about lining up right now to go marching in for their 7:30 graduation
You don't
tonight.
have to wear a cape and gown.
Yeah, they do, not me.
Oh.
I'm not there, I'm here.
Oh,
Also to all the school system employees, you did it, you made it to the end of the year, and to all the parents, enjoy them, they're yours now for 3 months.
I'll echo Wendy on the class of 2025. I wish them a successful and happy life and future successes in all their endeavors. Circling back to the tax assessment notices to be approved tomorrow and the millage rate, the proposed, not millage rate, but the sales ratio that they're looking at. I hope we can all educate the public because no one wants a shock of a tax increase, but the values have been disproportional for way too long in this county, and lot of people are paid more than they should, not paid enough, but we're on the road to correction. But we need to be committed to
Backing her.
equaling it back to where people are not having shots, and they're paying about what they're paying now, not a little less, a little more, plus or minus 1 or 2% of where they're at. The millage rate will be adjusted this year. It's gonna come down to educating the public, so we'll have a major backlash. It's a long time coming of getting this department corrected. That's all I have.
Commissioner Kitchen?
I'm just gonna echo everything they said, especially that last part of John's. We've got to do a good education.
That's it.
All I got, Jim.
You gotta let them know and, educate for sure.
Yep.
Mention that.
Oh, Commissioner Kitchens, you got a challenge I think you were talking about?
Yeah, I think we can. We had a challenge on this a couple of years ago, and I think since we've got another one, we need to challenge everybody. I would challenge everybody, all the commissioners, everybody, to donate to the animal shelter.
I just did the other day for Bonnie.
Well, you still
Why
gotta-
don't,
you
why
gotta
don't
meet
y'all
this
make an
challenge.
announcement of what this is?
Oh, there you go. Sharon, make the announcement. of
Well,
what
you're
it is.
doing a great job.
All right, there's the Spring Pawlooza, which is an adoption event, and Pawdy on May the 24th, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. There'll be music, food trucks, vendors, games, and fun. Come by the animal shelter. It's located at 1015 Monticello Highway on the 24th, this Saturday, from 10 to 3. Again, food trucks, music, a lot going on, and it benefits the animal shelter and all their four-legged babies.
And Commissioner Kitchens is,
Laying down the gauntlet. I'm not gonna say this time how much I'm gonna donate, because I challenged the chairman last time. And, every time I donate something, he has to make it
$1 more.
Yeah, he has to make it more than I give, so, which is a good thing, because those animals, they get the benefit from every
so I need to go
so.
by 5 and 10s instead of onesies and twosies.
That's
They
right.
also they're also in a need for kitten food and something else for kittens. Because this is the time of the year where you're gonna start seeing all the little feral cats having kittens.
They have them year-round. What are you talking about?
It's fixing to get worse.
Tell you what, I got a dog, don't start acting right, they're gonna have a donation of a
I make a
3-year-old.
motion to dismiss to go into executive session for
Personnel.
personnel.
Second, all in favor, aye?
Hey, Brandon.